Thank you for joining us today. Today, I will be speaking to you regarding forgiveness. It's not about the person, but it's all about you. So, I hope that something is being said and done that will make your life the better. Welcome.
Like I was saying, like Pastor Ardell said, Elder Ardell said, he is interactive. I am also very interactive. Oh, bless Jesus. Okay. I'm very interactive. That's why you have handouts in front of you. Because through a process of forgiveness means you have to open up. You can't forgive if you keep everything inside. Because the forgiveness is not from the inside. Well, I'm sorry, it is from the inside. But it's an outward show. It's an outward display. Because then once all the poison and the pollution comes out, then the forgiveness it'll be just radiant on the outside of you. So that's the area that I'm speaking on. It was a surprise because I didn't find out until last night that I had to do this from our preachers. It's a good thing. No, and let me tell you why. Because yesterday I was going through something, and it was an easy thing, judging your future by your past. It was a good thing. And the tears flowed, and for a hot second, I had to reach back. I do a Derek moment. I had to reach back and grab that. So it was a good thing. It was timely. Because how can you share with someone something that you haven't experienced yourself?
Amen.
How can you be transparent, take your mask off? You have to, you got to deal with it. You have to deal with it right at the heart of the matter. If you look at it, it says, the first page says what forgiveness is and is not, and how to work through these areas. Like I said, I am interactive. So, which one of you want to read the first one for me? Yes, ma'am.
Just one?
Yes, the first one.
Okay, forgiveness is giving up your right to hurt someone who has hurt you.
Forgiveness is giving up your right, your God-given right to hurt someone who has hurt you. Because you have every right to hurt that person. Let's be real. They hurt you. They violated you. And it doesn't always have to be a sexual violation, a sexual intrusion. A word, a deed. It's crazy, but even a look, because you're in that area. You know how they say don't judge a book by its cover. Because you may be dressed a certain way, and because that's all you have. And that particular day, you thought you were doing good. And that person just they caught themselves, but you caught it in that window. And it's like, oh, wow. And it crushed you. Now somebody else would say, well, that should be nothing. You're not in that person's shoes. You don't know where that person was. You don't know where that person has come from. You don't know where that person may be right there. So that little nothingness that you saw might have meant $1 million to that person. So, giving up your right to hurt someone who has hurt you. What's the second one? We're going to come back to these. What's the second one? Who wants to take the second one? Okay.
Forgiveness does not diminish the wrong done against you.
Forgiveness does not diminish the wrong done against you. It doesn't take it away. It doesn't take away the sting. It doesn't take away the hurt. It doesn't take away the shame. It doesn't take away the anguish. Nobody can minimize your level or your degree that it has affected you. What's the next one?
Forgiveness is not a denial of what happened. What you say?
How can no? It's not a denial of what happened. But back in the day, what happened in the house stayed in the house.
Right.
So ultimately, you start going into a denial because it's just natural. It's this is what happens. So you go into an inward denial of it. Forgiveness does not take away the consequences the other person will face because of his or her actions. It's not going to minimize it. It's not going to enlarge it either by your actions. Forgiveness is an act and a process. Even when a person decides to forgive another person, feelings of relief or healing are usually not immediate. Forgiving someone can be difficult and uncomfortable. And anybody that tells you it's not, they're blatantly lying to you. And when we're counseling people, we have to be mindful of that, but you have to be careful in all these areas so far how you actually address it. Forgiveness is not weakness.
So true.
Women, more so than men, are more apt and able to forgive. But men will quickly forgive.
Come on now, tell the truth.
But they don't really forgive. They say they do, but they don't. Because most men, not all men, most men, they say, I'm good. But let that same person come around you again. No. So, in your counseling, that person, that's shallow water, but it can run deep with the currents. So you have to be careful how you address it. Refusing to forgive allows the person or thing that was hurtful to you to continue to hurt you. Power. So we have to be careful how we also tread that when we're teaching or giving advice as to how to gain your power back. That your heart does not become hard. Teaching the person how, if the heart has not hardened, how to keep them from going into that dark place. And if it is hardened, how to teach them how to allow that hardened heart to begin to beat again. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgiveness does not require you to become a doormat. Forgiveness does not require you to open yourself up to the offender to be hurt again. The Bible says, if a person offends you, turn the other cheek. I think we only have two. But it also says, how many times you forgive? 70 times 7. So ultimately, we have to learn how to forgive on a daily basis, on a continuous basis. Is it something that is built inside of us? No. I don't care how good of a person you are. I don't care how loving of a person you are. I don't care how loving that person thinks that they are. There is some ounce of bitterness and unforgiveness that everybody harbors on the inside of them. But to them, that's not unforgiveness. To them, that no. And that person that you're counseling, they'll say, "Oh, I'm good. Oh, I don't do this and I don't do that." Listen to them. They'll tell you the areas that they're actually harboring that unforgiveness in. Because you have to, when you're listening is not just verbal listening. You're listening with your eyes and your ears because you have to see. You're listening with that body, you're listening to that body language, and you're listening to that voice. And then, like the old people used to say, you have to hear the unspoken word. Go to read between the lines school sometimes because they won't outwardly tell you what it is. So you have to go fishing, but you have to know what type of bait to use in order to fish to draw that fish in. Forgiveness does not wait for the offender to apologize or earn forgiveness in some way. The Bible says be quick. Peace quickly. Make peace quickly. But sometimes that's not always the case. Some of the clients that you're going to be running into, they are considered the living dead walking. Like I said, dead man walking. Dead man walking. They're existing, but they're not living because they have so much unforgiveness inside of them. They may have been hurt as a child, and now they're an adult. And they wonder why it's like a merry-go-round that they're going on, and they never allow anybody too close. I'm suspect of everybody. If you say I love you, but everybody that's shown me love so far has lied to me. They've abused me. Again, not always sexually abused. They may have been verbally abusive. Or they betrayed you. And you don't know how to find that comfortable place. And the minute you open up, wow, there it goes again. But what it really is, you've given that particular aspect power. It may not be that person. It may be because of the fact that, first of all, we have to be accountable. Also, the quote-unquote victim has to be accountable as well and acknowledge the fact, but we have to get them to that point that I'm hurt. This hurt me. This wounded me. This offended me. And, Pastor Ardell was all over me, all over my message, as far as the presentation of it, like the stages, because it is a clock. It's a round circle. It's a continuous circle. But instead of happiness, loss, suffering, and hope, 12 o'clock, you have wholeness, freedom, life, and forgiveness, joy, and peace. But then at 3 o'clock, you have hurt. What is that hurt? We have to probe a little bit when we're talking to somebody. Ministry, fine, but real day-to-day life. That person goes to work every day. They work, they perform perfectly in corporate America, Burger King, McDonald's, wherever they might be. In their household, they perform perfectly in front of everybody else. But when they get behind closed doors to themselves, the quiet runs them absolutely crazy. And they don't know why. They have no idea why they can't be in quiet. Then some people, they don't know why they can't be around a lot of noise. So you go from one end of the totem pole to the other. You have no idea. You don't know where you are. Sometimes it's like, okay. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with unforgiveness? Because your heart is so torn from one end to another, relationships go from one aspect to another, people going in and out your life. You find yourself raising your children, if you have children, the same way you were raised when you said, I'll never be my mama, I'll never be my daddy, I'll never do this and I'll never do that, and you still see yourself doing it. People that you thought you could trust, people you would tell your innermost secrets to, and the next thing you know, you're around other people that everybody else will be around, and they're looking at you crazy and cross-eyed. All of these things you might run into with your counseling session. And just like Dr. Jackson said, and everyone else has said prior to, you can't always bring your own personal experiences into it. Yes, you may have been through a lot of the same things, but no two people experience it the same way. But it does, in some cases, give you a better insight as to how that person might feel. So, how do you deal with forgiveness? When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? Not do you love yourself. Everybody quick to say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. But how many of you in here really like yourself? Wow. That is a question I'm asking. How many? I mean, for real, how many of you like yourself? Honestly. Why do you like yourself? You're beautiful. Inside and out, happy. Okay. Why do you like yourself?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I like myself because God, He loves me.
You guess you like yourself?
Yeah.
I'm not being difficult, but okay, you're in a counseling session.
No, right. Well, I mean, I like myself. I like the elevation in my life now. Now, at one time I didn't, because I know I wasn't growing like I should have been growing in my life as far as my spiritual walk. And until I found God in my life, I learned how to love myself because He first loved me.
What if you didn't have God in your life?
I'd be in trouble right now.
Okay.
I'd be out, then I was doing drugs too. I see somebody like Pastor, fat with that money on him like that. I'd be trying to catch him. You know what I'm saying? And get him. I'm just saying. You can't. I didn't know. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I catch him dirty, get his money. You know what I'm saying? Take his car, take his clothes off. That's how I was. At one time, that's how I was. I didn't like myself. I was terrible. I mean, just being open, saying how God elevated me. Now, since I done changed and I found God, I know how to love myself. I hated my parents at one time. My mama didn't love me like she should have. Yeah, my mama went and had degrees, masters and doctorate degrees. My daddy worked, had his own businesses, but they didn't love us. They spent money on us. So I didn't have the kind of parents to love me.
Let me, okay. Prime target.
Yeah.
Prime target. And I'm not picking on you, okay?
It's cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
I felt the same way.
Okay.
But I had to realize something. They did love you.
Well, yeah, they did.
They did love you. They loved you the best way that they knew
did.
how to.
Exactly. Right.
So the forgiveness has to start.
Yeah.
But how can the forgiveness start? Even with that small area right there, they did things for you.
Right.
They did things for you. They provided for you. But they didn't do like the family over here where they were going on trips and they were, all of them hugging on each other.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. Oh, happy, joy. No, you didn't go through all of that. But, so you took it, they were buying you.
Right.
They were buying you off.
That's right.
So now in a lot of cases, when you're beginning to counsel some people, you find yourself doing the same thing with other people.
Yeah.
It's a recurring cycle. You find yourself doing it and repeating it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Because that's all you knew.
That's right.
So, if that's all you knew, but you said they didn't love you.
Well,
No, I'm not. Now remember, I'm not picking on you. They didn't love you, but in all actuality, you have now become them. Now, the unforgiveness part. The abused becomes the abuser.
Exactly.
Through the unforgiveness. And you don't even realize you're doing it.
Well, and I want to refrain from that. I mean, they did love me, but it's like when I could go out, my mom that bought me everything from cars from the 10th grade to the 12th grade. They bought me everything, but I went to the projects in Atlanta. I was trying out for the Falcon football team. I had to leave it. And then I went up there and I was just selling drugs. And I went to East Lake Meadows Project. And for the first time in my life, I saw family unity. I saw a family with nothing, loved each other. and that bond they had, and I was envious of that because I never seen that before.
Mhm.
My dad worked all the time, my mom worked all the time. So we had to pretty much raise ourselves. So, you know.
That goes back to the clock.
Yeah, pretty much.
12 o'clock, you want to get to 12 o'clock.
Quickly.
And 12 o'clock could come at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. 12 o'clock can come at any time within that 24-hour time frame.
Yeah.
When we learn how to just say, you know what? I'm good with me. I'm good with me. I like me. Now, I didn't say anything about loving me. I like me. Because if you can like yourself, you will definitely love yourself. I like me. I like where I am. I like my space. I like being with me. I like spending time with me. But when you have a lot of unforgiveness and you're harboring a lot of unforgiveness, you don't want to spend time with yourself because you don't want to hear yourself. You don't want to hear those multiple voices in your head.
Oh, Lord,
You have, because you have a personality
Yep.
for every situation. Every situation you encounter, you got a personality for it. And one by one, you need to put that personality to rest. One by one, you got to stab it. Kill it. Say the eulogy over it. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and keep it moving. And how do you keep it moving? From 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. If you notice action steps to forgiveness, acknowledge the hurt. Don't let people say, that's nothing. Oh, have you walked in my shoes? That's the first thing, that's the defense. Have you walked in my shoes? Have you walked in my shoes? I didn't have to. I'm living. And every day you live, somebody gonna hurt you, somebody gonna wound you. If that client has dealt with abuse, any form of abuse, no abuse is any greater than the other. Abuse is abuse because it's important to that person. It doesn't matter what your opinion of it is. But it's to that person, it's a mountain. It could be a little anthill to you. But to that person, it is a mountain. It is, I didn't say a booger bear. No. So you never minimize it. And the way, I'm going to tell you real quick, don't let your body language speak louder than your mouth. Don't let your eyes talk louder than what your mouth is saying when a person says something. Yes?
So Dr. Chase, are you saying that sometimes as a coach and a counselor, sometimes we have to get rid of the gag or shock response in terms of dealing with people's emotional hurt?
Absolutely.
And I think you addressed a really important point, because oftentimes what happens is when working with people, they'll tell us things of their traumatic pain and their experiences. And it's okay to be wild, but as long as wild don't wow in degrade or disgust, or because if somebody tells you that their mother drugged them and allowed 5 men to run a Georgia train on them, I was taught that word, I didn't know anything about that. And those experiences, and you said, oh, okay, that's not normal. So a response is necessary, but more being careful of the caliber of response.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for bringing that point out.
Absolutely. Because of the fact that some people, and again, no offense, men are not emotional creatures for the most part. Women are emotional. I said for the I know you a water bucket. For the for the most part, men are not emotional. Let's rephrase that. They don't show their emotions. They are big babies. They just hide it on the inside. The women on the other hand, we are emotional. And if we're not emotional, it's because you're dealing with something that you haven't addressed. You don't like yourself. You love yourself, but you don't like yourself. And sometimes we have to find ourselves in that quiet place. And it's amazing, just like Dr. Jackson was saying, when that person gives you that shock and awe moment. And you say, wow. And you can do a wow. The wow, no, wow. And you keep going. You let the person say what they're saying, and then you keep going. Okay. Okay. Not, oh, wow, okay. No, wow, okay. And inside, you might be doing somersaults. Whoa, Lord, wow. Wow, okay. Sure.
That's a potential counsel. So are you saying, that when a person is telling you something that's really, really bad in their eyesight, and I guess the question I want to ask you is it, because I am an emotional person, and is it good, should it be balanced with the wow? Because do you want to be sympathetic with them and let them know you kind of like feeling what they're feeling at the time? Is that unprofessional? How far do you go with your emotions and let the person know that you really concerned or listening to them if you don't get a reaction if they're telling you something bizarre? Like Pastor just gave us an example of, how much reaction do you give to let that person know what they're feeling? I mean, because they need to believe in you.
Exactly.
So, but you don't want to overwhelm them either. So
Exactly.
where's the balance there? And I guess that's what I'm.
I understand.
I really need to know.
I just did it.
Mhm.
I just did it. I just did it.
With me?
I just did it. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at you right. I'm looking at that person right in their eye. I'm not looking away. I'm not doing that. Wow. I'm giving you my undivided attention. Wow. And you might do a lot of wows, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm feeling you now. I got you. Thank you.
There you go.
That's good.
Yes. Yes. And it could be blowing you out the water. Or better yet, it could be hitting home for you. Because you may have some unforgiveness in you. You may have some issues in you that you didn't realize.
But as a professional, that's why I was saying I don't want to go too far because most likely you may be hitting something.
Depending on how you'll know your session, you'll know that person, and you'll be able to gauge how far you can go into your experiences along with them. If you need to share some of your areas that you've had to deal with unforgiveness and bitterness and resentment or what have you, and how you were able to overcome it. But don't be so quick to share. Don't be so ready to tell everything that happened to you, especially when you're just starting with the person. You have to be very careful. It's almost like giving birth to a child. And for those that don't know about being around a baby, going stages. And that's just like a counseling session. It's like a child. You're taking them from a newborn to a toddler, adolescent, so forth, so on. And you have to know in those stages how far. I don't know all of you, Shrek. I remember one thing Shrek said, and Duncan said, "Oh, you stink." He was like, "I'm an onion. I have to pull off layers." Dealing with unforgiveness is peeling the layers back. And an onion, now Vidalia onions, they don't stink, but it's still an onion. If you touch it and put it in your eye, it's still gonna burn. Hurt is hurt. Pain is pain. You might deal with it a little different than the next person does, but it's still hurt and it's still pain and it still breeds unforgiveness and it still breeds bitterness. Now, to what level? It's based on that person. But you don't. What you have to do, the first thing you have to do in your session is to get that person to realize that it's okay that you're hurting. It's okay that you're angry. It's okay that you're bitter. It's okay that sometimes you got so much anger that you just want to, It's okay. Because so many people have told you, oh, no, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't be that. So you don't know what to do. So you walk around walking dead. Dead man walking. So when somebody see you go, here she come. Oh, here she come. How do I know? Been there, done that. Here she come. Oh, don't know what she gonna say out of her mouth today. Oh. So when the healing process took place, then the people don't know how to deal with you then. So it's like, woo, here we go. But that's how, and you know what? And that's even through your counseling process. As you're migrating that person to another level, and when people see that same person, then they say, oh, wow, So now you have to actually help them now embrace forgiving themselves. Have them to acknowledge it. Let them know that it's okay that this hurt them. Let them know that it was okay to be bitter. Acknowledging it. Coming out of the denial of it. Stop denying it, because you can't start your healing process until you can stop denying it. Now, then you get into the nitty-gritty of it, to the meat of it, which most people don't want to go there. In the process of the denial, distrust, revenge, all of these fits of rage, all of this comes about. And then you have to start, if the person especially if the person is in your circle on a regular basis, you have to face your demon.
Yes.
You have to face your demon.
Yes.
Face your demon.
Yes.
Identify your emotions and face your demon. Identify your emotions. That means not you the counselor, but you have that client identify their emotions. I'm gonna hit you. Identify the emotions. When someone does something to hurt you, you might experience regret and anger. These emotions are not wrong, but are a normal response to an offense. I didn't read through all this, but we're going to speed through this. It is important to identify how the offense made you feel and then to express it. After writing down the offense, you see what it said? Writing down the offense. Because sometimes when you want to address the one that offended you, you can't verbally address them. Write it down. Write them a letter. Write them a letter. Mail them a letter. They could be in your same house. Write the person a letter and mail it to them. Hey, because you know why? Because it's not about them. So you're teaching that you're gonna that's healing for that person. That's healing for that person. Because in the process of all this, they're learning how to forgive themselves and forgive others all throughout this process. Have them write the letter. Because you know why? Because when you're writing, you'll write some things that you would forget to say. So you tell them it's okay to write. It's okay to write. It's okay to keep a journal. Now, some people can't keep journals. You can't give everybody the same advice. You need to hear the heartbeat of the client that you're talking to. Because if you tell some people to write journals, that could send them over. Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, I was going through a course, and they was talking about the 3 forms of counseling: ministerial, pastoral counseling, professional counseling, and ministerial counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that you had this guy, this pastor, that was sued because he went in as a regular minister counseling this female that he wasn't supposed to be counseling, and he went to her house late that night, and she came on to him. He said it. He backed away from her, and she scratched them all up, and they gave him 15 years. But what the narrator that was doing this here was saying that it's best not even keep records, because he was talking about something hot where it's a thing, a law or something that I got it down here.
Yep.
A form that came out in 1996 to make sure that you lock everything up. The best HIPAA. There you go. That you're supposed to keep everything on the lock and keep. That you shouldn't even keep records on your computer or nothing that you talk with people, because if it gets stolen, you can be sued. The ministry can be sued and everything.
Well, see, first of all, before you start with the person,
Right.
the initial consultation is just that. You're not going into counseling with the person. You're consulting with them, because you have to find out if you're going to even be the right match to even counsel that person. You might not be able to work with that person. And it may take 2 or 3 sessions to determine, I'm not the best one for you.
Right, that's what they said.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to go back to you.
I want on HIPAA, and dealing with, I work in insurance, so I understand the HIPAA law.
Okay, right.
HIPAA is for proprietary information, like social security numbers, medical records,
Right.
and things like that.
Okay.
Just normal conversation like this
Right.
is not secured up under that.
Okay.
So no one can sue you if you took some notes of a conversation y'all had.
If it was confidential.
Well,
No, that's a different one. You want a client-patient confidentiality
Right.
form. That's something altogether different.
That's totally different.
Okay.
And when you have to have that to protect yourself as well as that client.
Right. Okay.
And no, you would not leave their records out and exposed to everybody and anybody. Even if you have things on your computer,
Right.
you still have it up under password protection. But you need to back those files up.
Okay.
You don't keep things like that.
Right. Okay.
I don't want you to go in with the wrong mindset. This does not fall up under client-patient confidentiality. You can't get sued for this type of counseling, not like that.
Because first of all, you're not giving advice.
Okay.
Let me rephrase. You're being careful what you say.
Okay.
Because if you tell that person, well, when my counselor said to do, my counselor said, I didn't tell you to do it. I would listen to you and help guide you. I'm a coach. I'm a coach. I can write out some maps into the process of forgiveness. Admit it that you're hurt. Admit that you're disappointed. Admit all of this. Then, because you're coming out of denial, you're doing 2 things at once. You're acknowledging it as well. And now you're going to deal with it. You're going to confront You gotta be careful, because confront can be a confrontation. You're gonna present yourself to your accuser or your abuser by writing or what have you. And what it is, you're forgiving that person. Being prepared that that person might not, 9 times out of 10, acknowledge what they've done to you. But again, the forgiveness has nothing to do with that person. So that's the main thing you have to teach your client. Forgiving somebody else has absolutely nothing to do with how they receive you. Nothing to do with how they receive you. It's all about your healing. Your healing. Because you want to become whole. So that's at 6 o'clock. You're breaking down the distrust and not, wanting to seek revenge and all, because now you're in the process of acknowledging it, approaching the person, talking it out, or better yet, writing it out, like I said. And the healing comes up to the 9 o'clock hour. You're going from the 6 to the 9 o'clock. That's your healing process. Your healing process is beginning to show that person one day at a time. One day at a time. Sometimes 1 minute at a time. Literally 1 minute at a time. Because that mind, those little thoughts, if you notice in one of what page is it? It even refers to that. On the first one, it says, maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. That was the first one, the little caption on the 3rd page.
Yeah.
And then on the 4th page, it says, tell the negative committee that meets inside your head to sit down and shut up. All those thoughts that saying, you can't forgive that person. You can't get past this. You've been dealing with this all your life, and and this has been happening, that's been happening, and it's been an ongoing thing. And you have to begin to actually tell that person, like I said, it's layers. It's layers. You're pulling those layers down off that person. You're pulling the layers off of them. And when you peel the onion, when you peel a layer off of the onion, what does it do? It doesn't stay there. It breaks off. It detaches from that person. It detaches from that. It detaches. And if it detaches, it can't live anymore. It dies. So every day you're getting to the point where you're not existing. You're now going into a healing stage where you can begin to live. You can begin to live through the process of it. So when you get to your 12 o'clock hour, that might be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you realize, I'm okay. And that person says, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not good yet. But when that person can say, I'm okay, and mean it, not just saying it, but they can say, I'm okay, and they mean it. And then after they say, I'm okay, I'm good. And the okay goes from, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Hey, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good now. I'm good now. Because I've forgiven myself and I've forgiven my abuser. Because now you've taken the power from that situation or that circumstance or that person and you've pulled it back to you. That situation, that circumstance, or that person no longer has possession. So you're literally going to take that client step by step from an arm baby to a toddler to an adolescent to a teenager, if they stay with you long enough, to adult. And it might happen a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years. What I mean is, you may not walk through that life, but you never know. You may end up going. Yes, sir.
Just like you said, that thing. And you put up that thing. The thing has skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're holding you down a lot of times. When you call yourself forgiving somebody, but you never forgot about that skin. That's the remaining that's left behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know the thing, you have the skin that was thin piece off.
There you go. That camouflage.
So you forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you forgive them, you got to forgive yourself. That's that skin that you have left behind.
That camouflage, that little real thin piece that you peel that onion, and then next thing you know, like, and you're pulling it out. That's that ugliness. It's that ugliness that you're pulling out, that ugliness out of you. That ugliness, that unforgiveness, that bitterness, you're literally pulling it out of you to where you're teaching that person how to forgive themselves, and you're gonna walk them through the process. You're gonna walk them